Cinnamon, a spice so common in kitchens worldwide, yet so mysterious in origin. Think about it. When you sprinkle cinnamon on your oatmeal or sip cinnamon tea, do you ever wonder, where does this come from? Today we'll reveal the incredible journey of cinnamon, how it's grown, harvested, peeled, rolled, dried, and shipped, transforming simple tree bark into one of the world's most beloved flavors. Stay tuned until the end, because you'll also discover the ancient history of cinnamon, why it was once worth more than gold, and the surprising health benefits that science is now rediscovering. And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you won't miss more amazing stories of how everyday things are made. There are actually over 250 species of cinnamon trees, but only a few are used commercially. Farmers plant cinnamon trees in tropical regions where the climate is hot, humid, and rainy. The soil must be well drained but fertile. After about 2 to 3 years, the tree trunks and branches become thick enough for the first harvest. Unlike many crops, cinnamon is sustainable. When farmers cut the branches, the roots remain alive and send up new shoots. This means the same tree can produce cinnamon bark again and again, sometimes for decades. The leaves of the tree have a mild, spicy aroma. The small flowers are yellowish white. But the real treasure is hidden beneath the rough, gray outer bark, the soft, fragrant inner bark. This inner bark is where the magic of cinnamon begins. Harvesting cinnamon is not done by machines. It's an ancient art performed almost the same way today as it was centuries ago. In Sri Lanka, cinnamon harvesting is often a family trade. Workers are called peelers. They use simple hand tools, but their skills take years to perfect. The process starts with cutting branches that are about 1.5 to 2 inches thick. Larger branches are too old. Younger shoots are preferred because the bark peels more easily and has better flavor. The fresh branches are carried to a shaded working shed. This is important. Direct sunlight would dry the bark too quickly and make it brittle. First, the peelers scrape off the rough outer bark with a curved knife. This exposes the smooth, light brown inner bark. Then they score the branch lengthwise with fine cuts. With practiced hands, they loosen and lift the bark in long strips. At this stage, the inner bark is soft, moist, and flexible. The air is filled with a sweet, spicy fragrance. This is the very moment when cinnamon begins its transformation. Here comes the fascinating part, the rolling. As the inner bark strips are separated, they naturally curl inward. Workers carefully layer smaller strips inside larger ones, creating long rolls called quills. Some quills can reach 3 feet long. Imagine a cinnamon cigar the size of your arm. The bark is then set aside for drying. As moisture evaporates, the quills harden and take on the rich golden brown color that we instantly recognize. Once dried, the giant rolls are cut down into smaller sticks. The ones you see in stores, usually about 3 to 4 inches long. No 2 sticks are identical. The natural curling, thickness, and texture make each one unique. And yet, every stick carries the same unmistakable aroma, sweet, woody, and warm. This process is so delicate that machines cannot replicate it. Even in giant cinnamon factories, much of the peeling and quill making is still done by human hands. Drying is crucial. Fresh bark is soft and prone to mold. Traditionally, quills are dried in well-ventilated sheds for 4 to 7 days. As they dry, the color deepens and the fragrance intensifies. Farmers must monitor humidity carefully. Too damp and the bark spoils. Too dry and it becomes brittle. After drying, the quills are sorted and graded. Bundles are tied together with jute rope and sent to processing centers. From here, cinnamon either remains as sticks or is ground into powder. Ground cinnamon is more convenient for cooking, but it loses fragrance faster. Whole sticks, on the other hand, can stay aromatic for years if stored properly. Today, cinnamon farms are both small-scale and industrial. In Sri Lanka, family-owned farms still dominate, using traditional peeling methods. But once the quills are dried and graded, modern technology steps in. Factories clean, sterilize, and package cinnamon under strict quality standards. From there, it travels across oceans to supermarkets, bakeries, and restaurants around the world. The US alone imports thousands of tons of cinnamon every year. Whether you buy a stick for mulled wine or a jar of powder for cookies, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and click the notification bell, so you don't miss more incredible journeys of how the world's favorite foods are made. Thanks for watching, and until next time, every sprinkle of cinnamon will remind you of the story behind the spice. Tomato sauce. It's the base for spaghetti, the soul of pizza, the magic in chili, and the secret ingredient in countless stews and soups. In the US, hundreds of millions of jars are sold every year, making it one of the most common items in American kitchens. In this journey, we'll start in wide, sun-soaked tomato fields and follow the harvest through massive processing plants, high-speed machines, and strict quality controls until it reaches the store shelf, and eventually, your table. Before we dive into the journey from farm to factory, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you'll never miss another fascinating look at how everyday foods are made. Not every tomato can become sauce. The fresh, juicy slicing tomatoes you see in salads aren't ideal for cooking. They contain too much water and too little flesh. For sauce, factories use specific varieties like Roma and plum tomatoes, which are dense, meaty, and naturally sweet. These tomatoes are bred not just for flavor but for consistency. They ripen evenly, resist splitting during harvest, and hold up under transport. In the US, the top tomato-producing state for processing is California, thanks to its long growing season, dry climate, and fertile soil. Seeds are planted in late winter or early spring, depending on the region. Farmers work with agronomists to choose the best seed varieties for yield, disease resistance, and flavor. The plants grow under precise irrigation schedules, with nutrients delivered directly to their roots through drip systems. Tomatoes destined for sauce need warmth and sunlight. Lots of it. Farmers monitor soil temperature, weather patterns, and moisture levels daily. Because processing tomatoes are often grown in huge monoculture fields, pest management is essential. Integrated pest control techniques help reduce chemical use while keeping the plants healthy. By midsummer, the fields are covered in lush green vines heavy with fruit. As the tomatoes mature, they turn from green to deep, vibrant red, a signal that harvest is near. Timing is everything here. Pick too early and the sauce will lack sweetness and color. Too late, and the tomatoes may be overripe and spoil in transit. When harvest day arrives, it's all about speed and efficiency. Large-scale tomato farms use mechanical harvesters, huge machines that move down the rows, shaking the plants and separating the ripe tomatoes from the vines. These harvesters can collect up to 150 tons of tomatoes per day. The tomatoes are loaded into open trucks or trailers and immediately covered with tarps to protect them from the sun. From here, time is critical. Processing tomatoes are sent to the factory within 4 to 8 hours of being picked to preserve freshness and flavor. When the trucks arrive at the processing plant, the first stop is the receiving station. Tomatoes are weighed, inspected, and dumped into large water flumes, long channels of gently flowing water that wash away dirt, dust, and leaves. This initial wash also keeps the tomatoes from bruising as they move deeper into the factory. Next, they pass through sorting stations. Here, trained workers and automated optical scanners remove any underripe, overripe, or damaged fruit. Quality is key. A single rotten tomato can affect the flavor of an entire batch. Once sorted, the tomatoes move to scalding machines. These use either hot water or steam to heat the tomatoes quickly, loosening their skins without cooking the flesh inside. The skins are then removed using rubber discs or gentle air jets. Some factories recycle the peels into animal feed or compost, ensuring nothing goes to waste. The peeled tomatoes are now ready for the main transformation, turning into sauce. The peeled tomatoes are sent through industrial crushers, breaking them into a thick, pulpy mixture. This pulp flows into massive stainless steel vats, some holding tens of thousands of gallons, where it's gently simmered. Cooking serves three purposes. It reduces water content for a thicker sauce, concentrates flavor, and kills harmful bacteria. Depending on the desired product, the sauce might be cooked for 20 minutes for a fresh, light flavor or for several hours for a deep, rich taste. Factories follow specific recipes for seasoning. Common additions include salt for flavor and preservation, sugar to balance acidity, herbs like basil and oregano, garlic and onion powder. Large paddle mixers stir the sauce constantly, ensuring even cooking and preventing scorching. No batch leaves the cooking line without testing. Quality control labs inside the factory check. If something's off, say the sauce is too thin, the batch can be adjusted before packaging. Every lot is documented so that any issues can be traced back to the exact source. Once the sauce passes inspection, it's pumped into sterilized jars, cans, or pouches. High-speed filling machines can fill and cap hundreds of containers per minute. After sealing, the containers are pasteurized, heated to kill any remaining bacteria and extend shelf life. Labels are applied showing the product name, ingredients, and a production code for traceability. The packaged sauce is boxed and stacked onto pallets. From here, it's either stored in climate-controlled warehouses or loaded directly onto trucks for shipment. Large food companies often ship tomato sauce nationwide, from local grocery stores to restaurants and institutional kitchens. In most cases, the tomatoes picked in late summer are transformed into sauce and ready for sale within just a few weeks. Modern tomato sauce production is becoming greener. Many factories run on renewable energy, recycle processing water, and turn tomato waste into compost or biofuel. Precision farming technology, like drones and satellite imagery, helps farmers use less water and fertilizer while producing higher yields. Cage-free eggs may be trending in poultry, but in tomatoes, the trend is toward regenerative agriculture, where soil health and biodiversity are prioritized. This could change not just how tomatoes are grown, but how they taste in your sauce. If you enjoyed this journey from farm to factory, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. We've got plenty more behind-the-scenes food stories coming your way. Every year, across the tropics, millions upon millions of coconuts are harvested, processed, and transformed into products that end up in homes, restaurants, and supermarkets around the world. This story takes us from the swaying palms of tropical coastlines to bustling processing plants, and finally to the dinner tables and beauty shelves of people everywhere. Before we dive into the fascinating journey of how millions of tons of coconuts are harvested and processed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories like this one to life. Now, let's begin. To truly understand how millions of tons of coconuts are harvested and processed, we first need to look at the tree itself. The coconut palm is sometimes called the tree of life, and for good reason. It thrives in hot, humid coastal climates where many other crops would struggle. From India and Indonesia to the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam, vast plantations of coconut palms stretch along beaches, hillsides, and islands. Even in places like Hawaii, southern Florida, and parts of Africa and the Caribbean, the coconut palm grows tall and resilient, capable of producing fruit year after year. Each mature tree can bear between 30 and 60 coconuts annually, and with millions of trees spread across dozens of countries, the global harvest adds up quickly. In fact, more than 60 million metric tons of coconuts are produced every year worldwide, making it one of the most significant tropical crops on Earth. Harvesting coconuts, however, is far from easy. Unlike fruits that grow on low shrubs or manageable trees, coconuts grow at the very top of towering palms, sometimes 30 meters high. Traditionally, farmers scale these trees with nothing more than a rope tied around their feet or waist, gripping the trunk with incredible agility and strength. In places like Kerala in India or Quezon Province in the Philippines, generations of farmers have mastered this dangerous skill, climbing trees daily to cut down ripe coconuts with a sharp blade. The sight is both impressive and humbling. A man balanced against the sky, swinging his machete to release clusters of coconuts that thud heavily to the ground. In other regions, especially where farms are larger and labor is scarce, long poles with knives attached at the end are used to cut coconuts from below. Increasingly, modern plantations are experimenting with mechanical lifters, drones, and even trained animals like monkeys in Thailand, though this practice has drawn controversy and is being phased out in many places. Once harvested, coconuts are collected in piles at the base of the trees. The green, young coconuts destined for drinking water are often kept separate from the mature, brown coconuts that will be processed for oil, copra, and other products. Farmers load them into baskets, sacks, or directly onto carts. In rural areas, this transport may be done by oxen or buffalo pulling wooden wagons. In coastal regions, small boats ferry coconuts from island plantations to mainland markets. In more industrialized settings, trucks haul massive loads to central collection points or directly to processing plants. The sheer volume is staggering. Hundreds of thousands of coconuts can move through a single port or processing hub in a week, creating a rhythm of supply that powers entire economies. The first step of processing begins with dehusking, the removal of the thick, fibrous husk that surrounds the hard shell of the coconut. Traditionally, this is done by impaling the coconut on a sharp metal spike fixed into the ground, then twisting it forcefully until the husk peels away. Skilled workers can husk hundreds of coconuts in a day using this simple but effective method. In factories, machines now automate this process, feeding coconuts through rollers and blades that strip the husk in seconds. The husk itself is not wasted. It contains valuable coir fibers that are later processed into ropes, mats, brushes, mattresses, and even eco-friendly planting materials used in horticulture.